Alright, hello everybody. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I thought we could do a little bit of a kind of Techo Kaigi mid-year update and just walk you guys through all of the books that I have used in 2024 and of how the system went for me and things I took away from each notebook and then what I'm using currently. I think I'm gonna do it chronologically. I think that'll be the easiest way. First is this B6 Slim Midori notebook, and I didn't use this as a planner, but I did set it up with the intentions of using it as a reading journal for 2024. I have tried to use a reading journal in the past, but it has never worked out for me, and I don't know why I thought it would work out for me this time, but I set it up and I just thought that if I invested a lot of time and effort into a lot of the spreads that I used, that it would make me more likely to use them, and then I never use them. So the logic was not there, but I do really like how this book turned out. I did spend a lot of time and effort onto it, and I had basically just set up like 6 or so trackers for myself, and then I had set it up so every month I would write down the book that I read, the title, author, the rating, and then do a little mini cover drawing of it. I probably used this like towards the middle of or end of January, and then I stopped and it just became a little bit of a chore for me. So I'm not currently in this book and she's sitting on my shelf, but I might use this notebook later just for like notes, or just to have a notebook, because I do have a lot of empty space in here. And then something else that kind of threw me off about these notebooks is the grid sizing is a lot bigger than what I am used to, and the paper is just a little bit thicker than I prefer. And so those were kind of like my main issues with this book specifically, but in general, just having a reading journal is something that I don't think is meant for me, and that's okay. So that was the first book. Next is this Hobonichi Weeks. This is in the olive leather color, and this is a January start, and I had purchased this book with the intentions of using it as a special interest notebook. It was mainly because I was feeling a lot of anxiety and overwhelm in my Hobonichi cousin, and work was a little bit more stressful, so I didn't feel like I could really, enjoy the planner and kind of write down all the media and hobbies that I was participating in, because I was just like so caught up with work. So I purchased this book so I could only have a space for media, YouTube, kind of my hobbies and things like that. And I used this for about 4 months, so I stopped using it towards the end of April. I think the main reason for this, which I have learned about myself recently, is that I am just not a narrow book person, and I like need a square page. And I was using these books to talk about what I was enjoying, and then I was putting some sort of visual in here because I am someone who needs like imagery, visuals, otherwise I will get very bored of the system very quickly. And so that's what I was doing on this right page, and for me it's just really hard to put things together cohesively when the page is more narrow than it is wide. And it took me a couple months to figure that out, but I did use this for 4 months like I mentioned. But as we go through these pages, like I don't like probably a majority of these pages because they just don't look aesthetically pleasing to me. And then something that also bothers me is just not having grid on the left page. So some weeks I do really well and my writing is straight across, and then other weeks my writing is like hideous to me, and I don't like it, and I don't like how it looks overall. And so I think after a time I just realized that I am not someone who thrives on narrow pages. And so I am not currently in this book. I haven't used it since April again, but I do have her on my shelf if I ever want to pick the weeks back up and use it, because it is a great notebook and I love the Hobonichi Weeks in general. So if I pick it back up, I'll probably use it for a different purpose. but for right now she is just sitting on my shelf. But I do really love her. So that is that book. And then next we have the A6 Hobonichi. So I was definitely influenced into buying this notebook because I found a My Manga and I cover, which I'm so obsessed with this cover, and I don't think I could ever get rid of it, even if I'm not using it. I was feeling like the cousin was too big for me. I was a little burnt out from the cousin. I wanted to try the A6, and it's mainly because I found the cover. So I was like, well, cousin's not working out, maybe this is my next best option. I was using the A6 Techo with a field notes kind of companion book, and this was just to house all the overflow from this. So if I didn't have enough room for writing that day, I could use this to supplement that. And I think I used this for about a month or so, and I did enjoy my time in here when I was in here. But I think at heart, I'm truly like a one notebook kind of person. And so I started just like cramming things in my A6 and trying to like make it fit rather than just dividing it between the two. And so I have stopped using her, but I do really love this notebook and I love the design of this very, very much. And then my A6 notebook, I started in April. This is the spring edition. And I was using this very similarly to my Hobonichi cousin, but I was using a page per day for kind of a mix of journaling, memory keeping, and just whatever it called for that day, whatever I felt like putting down. And I did really enjoy my time in this book for the kind of first half of April. But as we got through April and into May, I just realized that it was just not enough room for me. And I do think it's the perfect amount of room for journaling, but I don't think it's the perfect amount of room for like pictures and ephemera for me personally. And so trying to fit all of those things onto a page, I just felt like it wasn't enough, and I was having to sacrifice either journaling or pictures to make everything fit and try to make it somewhat cohesive. And so I think it would just solve a lot of issues if Hobonichi came out with the B6 notebook, but I don't know if that will ever happen. But yeah, the cousin, the A5 was too big, and then the A6 was feeling too small. And then here was an entry that I did where the B6 Papertess notebook was back in stock, and so I bought one at the end of April. So I was only in this for about a month or so before I realized it was just not enough room. And I do really enjoy this book, and I could definitely see myself going back to this when my life maybe isn't as busy, or I just don't have as many thoughts to write down. But yeah, I was just having to like stack and fold and fit a bunch of things in here. And so the last day that I used this was Mother's Day, May 12th. I just put a Jimmy John sticker and that was it. So I was in this, yeah, about a month, and then I moved into my B6 notebook, which is this guy right here. This is the Papertessdesigns B6 notebook, and I have this in the Filofax Malden cover. This is in the personal size, and I de-ringed it. But this is my B6 notebook, and I got this kind of like early May, but I backfilled all of my daily pages from April. And I truly think that the B6 size is like my preferred size for just fitting everything. And so I was using the grid pages for memory keeping and journaling and pictures, and then there is a weekly dashboard, which I really missed when I was using the A6. And if you're interested in like the layout of this book, I will link my last video up above, where I kind of do a more deep dive of how this book functions and its layout. But yeah, I used this for I think about 3 weeks or so. These are all backfilled. And then I started this in early May, like May 11th, I think. And yeah, so all of this was backfilled, and then this was when I was kind of officially in the book. And once I started using this book, I really quickly realized that the one thing that I was really needing in my time management and my organization of my life was a better weekly dashboard. And I am someone who cannot put any sort of like scheduling or time management stuff on my daily pages. My dailies like have to just stay like this. I cannot put this information on my dailies. They just need to be separate from me. And at the beginning of June, I actually got another job. So my full-time job is at a university, and then my second part-time job is for the Olympics. And I do a lot of kind of operations and logistics stuff, which means I have a lot of moving pieces in my brain like all the time. And then just that on top of like YouTube and Patreon. And then I also have 2 kids who are 3 and 5, and like they're a handful and all of that. Just trying to balance my entire week on this one page just did not feel like enough. And so at the beginning of June, I had a little bit of a mental break, a mental spiral about just like how I was managing my time, and like I couldn't even find myself in time during my weeks and things like that. So I just went down this spiral, and so I am not currently in this notebook anymore, which is a little bit of a bummer because I do love this so much, and this is a book I can definitely see myself moving back into either at the end of this year or in 2025. I would love if Papertess came out with like an Avec version of this book, just so it wasn't as chunky. But for just right now, and like my schedule and all of the things I'm trying to balance in my brain, this is just not enough. And I do really, really love this notebook. And I think out of all the books that I have used in the past, including my Hobonichi cousin, this one has definitely been my favorite, and it's like my top contender. But it's like perfect for journaling and memory keeping. It's just not perfect for my like functional time management system right now. So that's where we're at with this book, which is kind of sad because I just posted my flip through a couple weeks ago, and a lot of you guys seem to really like this book and kind of like how I have it set up. And so I'm sorry that I'm changing so soon, and if I could be in this book, I would, but I would just be burning myself out, and I would feel a lot of overwhelm with my schedule. So this is the Papertess B6 book. And then lastly, the book that I am currently in is this guy. And I'm not gonna do a flip through of this right now because this video would be like 40 minutes long, like an hour long. But she is a rings planner, which was not on my bingo card for 2024, and honestly was like kind of a shock. But during said mental spiral, I was just trying to figure out the best way to customize my planning and just like my overall hobby and enjoyment of my notebook, and how I could be more in control of those things. And that answer was rings, because I can make my own inserts and I can kind of put in and move stuff around whenever I want. And that's just something that I am really, really needing in my life currently. And so I have been in this book for about 3 weeks now, which is awesome. Way longer than I thought I would last. And this is in the personal size Filofax Ranger cover, which is pretty special and rare cover to get your hands on. And so just having this cover like in my hands is a really great like user experience, a lot better than when I tried rings the first time. But this is in the personal size, and I will be doing a detailed flip through and kind of explanation of my system and how I've been incorporating all of the elements from my previous books to make them work in here. So that will be next week's video. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, definitely do that so you don't miss it. And I don't know how long I'll be in this. I'm not really forcing myself to stay in here, but it is helping me manage my time a lot more. So I feel very good in this book. So that will be next week. But those are all my books, and I'd be very interested to hear how your guys' experience has been this year with your notebooks, and what you're currently in or what you're currently enjoying, and then maybe the things that didn't work out for you. I literally have been on pace of getting a new notebook every month. So I got this one early April, my B6 early May, and then this one in early June. So I've literally gotten a new notebook every month for the past 3 months. but it's kind of like the end of June now, and I have zero like itch or inclination to move into another planner. This is like meeting all of my needs perfectly right now, which is great. I also get to travel with this book. I'm actually leaving for New York in a couple hours as I'm recording this, and so I'll get to take her with me on a trip and kind of see how that experience goes and what that process is like. I'm also using this as a wallet too, so it's a wallet and planner combined. So I'm very interested to see how this travels, and yeah, you guys will see that update next week. So thank you guys so much for being here and for watching. I appreciate you all, and I will see you guys in the next video.